Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. So obviously this video is about iDubbbz, for those of you who are too illiterate to read the title. But before we get into that, I just want to mention to anyone who's new here that while this is a live show, I try my very best to always include timestamps in the description below, though sometimes I might forget. So, while I would recommend watching the entire thing, as my goal is to be as entertaining as humanly possible, I understand that not everybody has that amount of time, so if you just want to watch a specific part of the stream, that's what that's for. Now, I have a question that I am going to be trying to answer today. Now, I can't say that this is exactly a question that I have the definitive answer to, but it is a question nonetheless. Hello, Pancake Panic. Welcome to the stream. It appears that you were the first one saying hello there. General Kenobi, you are a bold one. Anyways, without further ado, I guess we'll just get right into the meat of the topic. Lag? Oh no. Am I lagging? Hello, Rings. Welcome to the stream. I really hope that I'm not too laggy. If I am, I'm not going to be a very happy camper, I must say. Now, the reason why I'm lagging, if that's the case, is probably because I also have tomorrow's video uploading in the background, so hopefully that doesn't ruin the stream, or worse yet, the VOD. I hope it's not skipping around, pausing, freezing, etc., because if it is, well, that just sucks, I guess. But it wouldn't, I guess it wouldn't be too surprising the more I think about it. Was it an intelligent decision for me to decide that, yes, I will, I should just have them both at the same time? One video uploading while I'm streaming. Yeah, that's a great idea. No, obviously, that's a terrible idea. But you better believe that's exactly what I'm doing regardless, because I can. Yeah, and everyone knows that if you can do something, that you absolutely should. Alright? Oh dear, this might actually end up being unwatchable, though. That's the thing. So I might have to, I don't know if I'm gonna, uh-oh. Am I gonna have to end the stream? I hope I don't have to end stream. Oh god. Oh god. Oh no. Oh well, I'm gonna try and see if, there's anything I can do. I mean, I'm playing it, I think you might have to watch the stream from 10 seconds ago, because, yeah, it seems like there might be a little bit of an issue. Seems like, oh no. Oh no. Well, that's really nice. That's wonderful. That is incredible. This is about as good as it's gonna get. Alright? Aw, yeah. Oh no. Oh god. Well, you better believe that we're gonna be powering through it anyway. Aw, yeah. Cause, if you thought that the Femios YouTube channel couldn't get any worse in terms of Wi-Fi and lag issues when I'm streaming, you were sadly mistaken, my friend, okay? You were sadly mistaken. But that's alright. That's alright. Anyways, regardless. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So anyways, I guess we're just gonna be watching other people talk about iDubbbz. I guess there's this video in my recommended that we could start with, so yeah, I guess we'll start with that. Because, it looks interesting, I don't know who the hell this person is. I've never watched any of their videos before. They have 91 subscribers, the video has 240 views from 6 hours ago. So clearly, the YouTube algorithm likes when they do stuff like that, apparently. I guess Fair enough. I mean, what can I say?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video where I feel important for 10 minutes.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, it was actually 12 minutes, but you were close enough. Well, 12 minutes and 5 seconds, to be precise.
Today, we're going to be looking into the iDubbbz situation.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Now, originally, I wasn't going to make a video about this, but for some reason, it just keeps on giving. Everyone's been making videos about it, but specifically Moist Critical or Penguin Zero is being dragged into it because
Chat's saying the lag is terrible. I don't know what you mean. The lag couldn't be any better. It's amazing, actually. You know, it actually adds to the viewing experience. You see, you know, the great thing about the stream lagging is you get to because it freezes constantly and then adds more and more delay each time. You know, it's like you get to savor every word, every sound I make. You know, it allows you to take advantage and savor the amount of content that I do give. You know, you really get to think about, you know, the words that I'm saying.
iDubbbz was obviously condemning this.
I really hope it doesn't ruin the VOD, though.
Previous behavior, but Penguin Zero kind of justified it in a sense, or so people thought. And so it just keeps on going and going. But what am I even talking about to begin with? Now, iDubbbz, 7 million subscriber YouTube channel, used to be really popular back in the day for his Kickstarter videos and content cop videos. Now, the Kickstarter videos were really fun.
Well, hold on. Don't forget about bad unboxing or legit food review. Fake fan.
Because he used to go through kind of like the worst of crowdfunding websites, and the products he used to showcase were really bad. And typically the owners were just scamming their viewers anyway. But where his career really popped off was when he started filming the content cop videos. Now,
oh, hell yeah.
The content cop videos, he made about a dozen of them or so. However, I'm not going to really go through them all now because most people don't really know who these people are, like Jinx Reload. I mean, if you know, you know.
How? Am I that old? Do people not know who Jinx was? Man. I feel old now. God damn.
No, but if you don't, then I mean, you know, sit on the bench, you know what I mean?
Mama! What?
Now, the content cop style is very unique for the time, as they were essentially hit pieces before hit pieces. During the 2016-2017 era of YouTube, if you were to make a hit piece on someone, people like Leafy's here and Pyrocynical would essentially just call them gay, and like that was the joke. But what was really unique about iDubbbz's format is that he would really go into their like history, kind of like dissect their upbringing and just expose them as the frauds as they were.
I mean, I don't think that iDubbbz was like the first person to come up with that. I'm pretty sure people have already done that. It's just nobody was nearly as popular as iDubbbz or as funny, right? I'm pretty sure hit pieces existed back then. They just weren't nearly as entertaining, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you might go into somebody's past or whatever, but it's like, okay, you know, they were called exposed videos. You know, you would put a YouTuber name in the title and then exposed. And that was what was considered a hit piece back in the day. Obviously, they were a much lower quality than what iDubbbz put out, but keep in mind it was... Okay, alright, I restarted the stream, from Streamlabs, so hopefully there's no more delay, because y'all have been complaining about it. But anyways, man, god damn. Like, holy fuckamole. It's pretty bad. Alright, let me see how far behind from Streamlabs, so hopefully there's no more delay. Yeah, alright, well, there's literally nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do, I just restarted it. There's literally nothing else I can do, other than restart it in 10 minutes. Right? And now I just wasted 4 minutes of content thanks to you guys. You know, I said some really cool things, you know? And, you know, you'll never even know what they are. It's lost forever. Thanks to thanks to you guys, okay? And dumplings for the $20. In order to fix your lagging, you must say Vosh Rad to your audience. Well, you see, Vosh Rad indeed. I couldn't agree more, actually. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I actually did say, I read that dono before, but that it's not in the VOD because, well, unfortunately, it was so delayed, and, you know, ending that segment of the stream, I guess, before resuming it, well, it basically deleted whatever, you know, hadn't already been shown, and it was so laggy and delayed, and it was awful. But anyways, welcome back, everybody, welcome back. I really hope that it's not broken as hell this time, alright? If it is, I'm not gonna be a happy camper. It's fixed! Okay, good! Good. Oh, thank goodness. And yeah, but yeah. Sorry for not reading your donations sooner, 1,000 dumplings. I do appreciate the $20. I do really appreciate that. I mean, I read it, but you just didn't see it because I was lagging. Anyways, technical difficulties aside, we've got the rest of the video to watch, okay? Yes, I could have started a new live stream, but instead I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do a terrible idea, which is just continuing off of this one, alright? But anyways, let's continue with where we left off, okay?
You wouldn't make a hit piece on someone. People like Leafy's here and Pyrocynical would essentially just call them gay, and like that was the joke. But what was really unique about iDubbbz,
that sure is one funny joke,
this format, is that he would really go into their like history, kind of like dissect their upbringing and just expose them as the frauds as they were.
Well, I don't think that he's the first person to do that, necessarily. Now, I will say that he did it better than anybody else, and he certainly popularized it, but there were other people that made videos kind of like that, just not nearly as funny or entertaining or as in-depth. They were called exposed videos back in the day. You would just put the YouTuber's name and then exposed in the title, and that was the 2014 equivalent of a hit piece, right?
Now, what's the issue here, you may be asking yourself? Well, quite a few. So, iDubbbz is well known for these videos, however, it's his legacy attached to these videos. He is very well known for essentially being really racist, homophobic.
No, that is not what he's known for. Have you even watched an iDubbbz video before? No, absolutely not. Now, you could say that, oh, well, it enabled racism, and I don't necessarily disagree, at least not on the surface. But he was never ideologically racist. He just said them as funny words. In fact, he had the opposite intent. His goal, regardless of whether or not he succeeded, was to, well, make those words lose any and all meaning that they would otherwise have. Unfortunately, he was probably in a little bit he was way in over his head, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, no matter how fucking large your sub count is, right? It doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to single-handedly end racism, right? Or, you know, oh, yeah, now the slurs are no longer offensive words that have any meaning, right? You can't do that single-handedly. But I don't really think that his content was hateful by any means at all.
Phobic and possibly even transphobic.
Okay, well, I mean, as somebody who has, well, you see, the big gay, the big autism, and the big trans, you know, all three of those things, you know, I can't say I find his content very offensive or feel offended by it, because at the end of the day, if it's obvious as to what somebody's intent is, it's like, I'm not gonna go out of my way to be bad faith and deliberately misinterpret the obvious message of what somebody says, right? But apparently, unfortunately, I guess iDubbbz's message wasn't as obvious as I always thought that it was, because obviously people did misinterpret it, right? There are people that genuinely believe to this day that, oh yeah, iDubbbz actually loved bullying. It was his favorite thing, in fact, right? Because he did technically say that he likes bullying in the Leafy content comp. Because, well, at the end of the day, it's not that he actually likes bullying, it's just there are people that don't understand, you know, this very cool thing, some of you may or may not have heard of it, called framing. Yes, it's called the framing of the video, right? In order to make it more rhetorically effective, which it did in some regards, but I think that at the end of the day, something that I've suggested is, rather than, you know, disavowing the old content or changing it up even because it's harmful or whatever, I would personally recommend, okay, just be more overtly political, more clear about your intentions. Just say what your thought process is, you know, whether it be on a live stream after the content cop or whatever, you know, so that there's no ambiguity, there's no room for misinterpretation, right? That would be the point of that. And then anybody who you know, cites you, you know, in an attempt to actually be racist, but then justify, you know, oh, well, the reason I said the N-word was because of iDubbbz. It's like, well, yeah, but that's not the context that he ever said it in, and he would make fun of you for that, right? But obviously he can't, you know, go around, you know, oh, yeah, well, here's a bad example, here's a good example 24/7. You know, he's one person, right?
Not that he made...
Though I will say that he probably should have drawn a more clear line, right? Because even though his intuition, his own intuition is something that, well, okay, well, he can determine whether or not it's an okay context to say something morally, a particular word, let's just say. Not everybody has that same level of intelligence or intuition that he had, right? And there might have been, well, there were genuinely racist people in his audience that, you know, didn't use that same level of intuition. They just said it whenever, you know, they wanted to be racist, for example, because they didn't see an issue with that.
May have been those things inherently, but he definitely used a lot of racist terminology to essentially just make fun of people and so forth. Now, these videos...
Well, no, he never used those words to make fun of people. He just said them as funny words. When he wanted to make fun of people or criticize them, he would do it for either valid things, or he would make fun of Leafy's chin, for example, right? But he would never really use them as anything serious, anything more than just, oh, here's some funny words that I can say that are, you know, oh, you get it, guys, because it's edgy. That's the joke. Now you can say that it's not a very funny joke, and I don't necessarily disagree, right? There were instances where it's like, okay, you know, maybe you could make your joke a little bit more intelligent, right? You know, saying a slur is not a funny joke in of itself, right? I mean, it can be at first, but you sort of need, you know, some context behind it, right?
Were well received for the time. I remember even Philip DeFranco saying that when a content cop was released, it was essentially like the Christmas holiday for YouTube. They were kind of a spectacle, a kind of one-off thing where it's like, oh my god, I need to stop whatever I'm doing and I need to watch this video.
Absolutely. I specifically remember, I don't know if I was in middle school or early high school. I was like either in 8th grade or 9th or 10th grade. I don't remember. But I specifically remember, I think it was the Tana content cop, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it was, yeah, it had to have been the Tana content cop, and I remember I think it released during lunch, or maybe before then, but I saw that it had been released during lunch, whatever, 11, 11:30, 12, something like that, and I was just way too excited to see it, right, and I think I ended up watching it. I don't remember if I waited till I went home, or there's a good chance I just watched it in class or during lunch. I couldn't wait, right? But yes, it was a big thing, you know.
But it's the legacy that was really attached to these videos that really got iDubbbz in hot water, where he would essentially always use racist terminology, homophobic terminology to kind of just describe anyone. The difference between these is that he would do a lot of good by exposing these people, but he would litter a lot of this racism and just kind of wrong terminology throughout the video. And for him now, that kind of...
I don't even think it was something that was super frequent. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could go back and count the number of times he says the N-word in each content cop, but I don't think he said it nearly as much as he's letting on. You know, maybe like once or twice per video at most, right? It's like, okay,
kind of invalid.
There were a few times where he might have said it more during a bad unboxing, because, you know, he might have received a letter in the mail with the N-word on it or something like that. But either way, you know, it's okay. At the end of the day, it was never something that he used as like an insult or, you know, derogatorily, or as a serious argument point or anything like that. No, I do not.
His video, although that isn't really true, because his videos exposed a lot of bad people that were on the website that he did make the videos on. For example, Tana Mongeau was really bad at the time. Now,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she was, in fact, known for lying about shit. I mean, that was her main thing, is exaggerating and lying about shit that happened in her life. Basically, making shit up for views and watch time, right? That was the goal at the end of the day. She was hypocritical, dishonest, made horrible content, was basically just kind of a piece of shit, right? Now, obviously, iDubbbz probably took it a step too far by going to TanaCon, but, still.
Arguably, Tana Mongyu used to make fake videos, essentially story time things, where most doubtably her best story was how someone fucked her with a toothbrush.
Ah, yes, that is it. In fact, a certified hood classic indeed. One of my personal favorites. Ah, what a classic, the toothbrush meme.
He fucked me with a toothbrush. He fucked me with a toothbrush.
Ah, yes, a certified hood classic. My favorite. So glad that we got to see this gem again.
A toothbrush. Oh, fucking.
But
guys, I think, now get this, I could be wrong on this, but I think that he may have fucked her with a toothbrush. Holy shit.
Arguably, her fault or not her fault, I'm not sure. She did host an event called TanaCon, which was around the same time that VidCon for YouTube was happening, and she essentially, willingly, allegedly, rented out a space that didn't support the amount of tickets that she sold.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about this. This wasn't in the content comp, I don't think. No, it definitely wasn't. But I specifically remember this. Oh my god. I completely forgot about that. God, that was ages ago. Weren't there a bunch of, angry Tana fans that were roasting in the sun and getting really bad sunburns because there wasn't enough room for them to enter the event? I'm pretty sure that was her event. I could be wrong on that. I could be thinking of a different awful YouTuber event, but I'm pretty sure that was her event. And if it was, then, well, maybe iDubbbz wasn't nearly as much in the wrong if her event was that terrible anyway. Well, no. I mean, to be fair, he wouldn't have known that ahead of time, right? He planned on doing that regardless of how swimmingly the event went, right? But I will say that Tana probably deserved it more as a result of, well, at the end of the day, in comparison to, all of her fans being, roasting in the sun on a miserably hot day, maybe Ian saying the N-word wasn't so bad in comparison,
Whether it was her company that she hired to host the event, it's their fault, or I don't really know, but
don't give a shit. It's her fault. She should have known better.
Either way, she did a lot of shady shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One of the worst things that iDubbbz did is that he actually went to a meet and greet at one of her events and said something really bad.
Ah, yes, he said the gamer word. He said the Keemstar word, my favorite word of all time. I love that word.
Now, if you don't know what I'm saying, I obviously can't play the clip, but one of the things that he said is that I'll reenact it. He kind of met with her, was taking a picture, and then he said, say, and then he said the N-word.
Something that, yeah, I don't even know how that does. I mean, obviously, normally that would violate TOS, but for whatever reason, I mean, his video seems fine, but still,
Word. But one of the main things that iDubbbz said in that video, which is honestly one of the worst takes, is that either all of it's okay or none of it's okay.
Yeah, and this is a stupid dichotomy that I've criticized quite a bit lately, because at the end of the day, it just kind of ignores any and all nuance. Like, for instance, there might be some words that are completely okay, some words that are like, that's questionable, and some words where it's like, ooh, yeah, I don't know about that one, right? Because they all have a different level of weight, right? Some of them might have more weight than others. Like, realistically, when was the last time you heard somebody getting offended over the word zipperhead, right? It's like, nobody even knows what the fuck that is, right? But then there are some other words where it's like, ooh, yeah, ooh, that one hits different,
Now, don't get me wrong. Initially, when I first heard this, I agreed with it. But the more you read into it, the worse you kind of realize it is. I was thinking, okay, South Park, taboo humor, but they're still funny. They cross all the lines, but they're still able to get their point across without...
Yeah, well, and I think that Ian could have done that, and in a way, that's sort of what I'm working towards is, doing what, accomplishing what he couldn't, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of, a certain style of rhetoric, being inherently bad because it's edgy or it uses offensive words, right? It's whether or not, it's a matter of whether or not you're using that style of rhetoric effectively. So if he had effectively used that style of rhetoric to, for instance, spread left-wing ideology, that would have been really good. He would have done a lot of good there. But he didn't. He wasn't, overtly transparent or political with what he believed, right? And I think that might have been a major problem, because obviously it enabled right-wingers to, take the shit he said the wrong way. Whereas what I do, with what I do, no matter what type of joke I make, there's no ambiguity, right? You know what my intent is, because I make it very fucking obvious.
Seeming just edgy for the sake of edgy. No, he was literally just saying, like, you can just say the N-word if you want, it doesn't matter. Which, I mean, obviously...
Well, the context matters, right? That was part of the point. You don't just ignore that.
He condemns now, but it was a really stupid take even back then.
Well, yeah, it was a stupid take, but I don't think that it was entirely wrong. Well, I mean, the either all of it or none of it's okay type of thing was stupid. But I think that some of I can still understand where he was coming from, and I don't think his take was horrible or anything. I just think, okay, that was a really stupid thing to say, right?
But this key phrase has been repeated throughout the rest of time, and even up until recently, after he's condemned his old content, has allowed these fans to kind of call him a hypocrite and say, well, either everything's okay or none of it's okay.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the main issues with that quote as well is it's so easy to take out of context. But when he actually said that, he was referring to, okay, either all the slurs are okay or none of them are okay type of thing. But he also acknowledged that, okay, obviously there's some context where you shouldn't really say that, right? He even mentioned how he had even critiqued, people using it in a shitty context, right? Or taking it too far, But people kind of selectively removed that from their head and just went with whatever, was convenient for them at the time. And it seems like, either all of it's okay or none of it's okay was actually used to be like, well, it doesn't even matter the context. Either all of it's okay or none of it's okay, which is actually, funnily enough, contrary to what Ian was actually saying, right?
So you're a hypocrite for not believing this even 7 years later, which, I mean, do I even have to say it? It's 7 years, bro. Like, move on. So because of this stigma that his old videos have, he took it upon himself to unlist a lot of the content cops.
Yeah, and again, something I've criticized him for, and I still stand by this. He should have just apologized for whatever, the Tana content cop and nothing else. Because his other content cops were fine. There might have been other flaws, small errors with the criticisms he was giving, and oh, maybe that wasn't, that good of a criticism. But at the end of the day, Leafy deserved a content cop on him, Ricegum deserved it, Keemstar deserved it, Jinx deserved it, and then there were like some other channels where he didn't really go as hard on those, so it didn't really negatively affect them, like the food review channels, the toy review channels, the tech channels, etc. The Spider-Man and Elsa shit. Like, come on, are you really gonna apologize to the fucking weirdos that made shitty Spider-Man and Elsa content? Come on, they probably don't even know you exist.
That I had a lot of this bad and racist humor in it. And that essentially created a divide between the community, especially on Twitter. Ooh! Now, there are a few main critiques to iDubbbz's recent positions. One of them is he kind of gained a career, essentially making fun of people.
No. If you think that, you fundamentally don't understand the point of his content. The point wasn't to make fun of people. You fucking idiot. There's a reason he chose, the targets that he did. Because they were people that actually fucking deserved it, Okay, that's the distinction there. He didn't just go after whoever was popular to shit on at the time, right? He, you know, if he did that, he could have made a video about Laylee Pons, BuzzFeed, Jake Paul, though he did title the Rice Gum content cop that, you know, just to fuck with Rice Gum, but it wasn't actually a Jake Paul content cop. But the people he made it on were people that genuinely deserved it and that weren't getting any backlash for the dumb shit that they did. They weren't being held accountable. That was the point of Content Cop, right? Why would he act as the content cop on content that people are already shitting on, right? It's like, well, that doesn't really do anything, right? The only instance in which he did that was the Fine Bros content cop, which he said, oh yeah, that one was one that I really didn't like, you know, because everyone else had already said everything that needed to be said. So I kind of felt shitty about that one, right? Even though they did still deserve it, right? Because they were trying to, you know, copyright the word react, basically, which is a really stupid thing.
Then after a while, he got made fun of, and then he just instantly regrets everything and just apologizes. And I guess it's the
well, he doesn't instantly regret everything.
The fact that him apologizing kind of brings down this empire that he's kind of constructed over the years on YouTube and has kind of disappointed a lot of these older fans. The video, but it is very long and I literally just summed it up for you. It's very boring. But one of the biggest kind of like controversies now in relation to the iDubbbz video was Moist Critical's video. Now,
yep, we watched that on my last stream. Alright, you know what, I can't be asked to watch the rest of this video, I'm sorry. This, yeah, I don't know. It's, but, anyways. I forgot this was live, and was just staring at your choker and ears for 10 minutes. Oh, hell yeah! Hell yeah! You like the choker, you like the ears? Hell yeah. That's why I got them. Because I also like them. Yeah. That's right, everybody. That's why. Glad the Soros-funded 5G towers are working now. Hell yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. Heart. Aw, thank you. Yeah, the here on... Wait, what? The choker is cute. Aw, thank you. Oh, the heart on the choker. Oh, okay, yes. Thank you, thank you. Yes, that is why I specifically got this one. Because I feel the same way. But yeah. Look. Sometimes I may or may not be illiterate, but only when people are bad at spelling, okay? Only when people are bad at spelling. That's the only instance. Now, I could go on watching more, more criticism of iDubbbz, but I think that at the end of the day, I want to go more in depth in terms of what I personally think before we move on to that, okay? So, oh god, where do I even start? Alright. So, you all saw the title and thumbnail, okay? The question is whether or not iDubbbz is a good person now. And that's really what I want to focus on for a big chunk of the stream, right? Because obviously measuring whether or not somebody is or isn't a good person is a really difficult thing to do. And I also think it's an important thing to do, right? Because you have to ask yourself why. Why did Ian make this decision? What, what's going on behind the scenes that is causing him to act a certain way? And ultimately, I can't know for certain what his intentions are. But based on his actions and his words, and even his demeanor, I think I can make some good guesses. I can provide my best educated guesses. And considering the fact that, let's be real, I'm always right. Come on. That's why you're watching the channel, right? But generally I'm gonna be correct, I think. All jokes aside. But first of all, what even is a good person, a neutral person, or a bad person? Well, in my opinion at least, based on my moral framework, I believe that it's hard to say, because it's a combination of a lot of things. First of all, it's a combination of of intent, actions, God, where do I even start? Yeah, it's both your intent, your desires, your actions, etc. Yeah, like it's a whole myriad of reasons, right? There isn't just one thing that single-handedly makes you good or bad, right? It's not just how much utility do you provide, right? I don't even think a utilitarian would argue that that is what determines whether or not you're a good or bad person, right? Because while it is true that Jeff Bezos has donated far more to charity than any of you people in chat, I don't think that any of you would ever want to acknowledge that, oh yeah, Jeff Bezos is a much better person than me. He's an amazing person, right? He's, like, better than every homeless person as well. No, that's fucking stupid, right? Because if it was within your means to, you know, if you had the same level of power and wealth as Jeff Bezos, you would probably contribute a lot more, right? So part of it is also going to be, well, theoretical to an extent, right? So if I commit arson but I do it accidentally on purpose with the intent of being a cute, destructive femboy, would I be a bad or good person? Well, I don't know. I don't know what your other actions consist of. What building are you committing arson on? Are there people in there? And if that's the case, are you aware of the fact that there are people in there? Or if there's not people in there, are you aware of the fact that there's not? Because if you're not, then, well, you're probably not a very good person, right? If that's the case. But at the end of the day, right, you know, even though I might make a lot of, in debates especially, I'll make consequentialist arguments, but that's because when I'm talking about politics, right, it's like, okay, well, what policy positions lead to the most positive outcomes? But that's not a judgment of moral character, right? That's more of a, well, here I am making prescriptive claims, because I can't really, you know, make too many prescriptive claims about the way people should think or feel or whatever, right? Or about what their intentions are, right? All I can do is say, well, it would be preferable if somebody acted a certain way, right? Now, I know this is a long-winded explanation, but I think it's important, right? So, when it comes to analyzing whether or not iDubbbz is a good, bad, or neutral person, right? In whatever regard, those are the things we're going to be keeping in mind. Our intent, actions / consequences of actions, etc. Right? Now, what I think an example of this, right, is okay, so an example of something that iDubbbz did that I think was wrong was the entire Froggy Fresh situation, okay? And the reason is because, well, consequentially, less money went to charity. It seems like he cares more about, well, him and his own wife's comfort more than the money that would otherwise go to charity towards people that actually need it. And, you know, if I'm not going to account for intent or, you know, how he was feeling or why he made that decision in the first place, I think it would be easy for me to write it off as, oh, well, he just doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself, right? But it's more complex than that, right? He is a complicated person with emotions, right? So it's not as simple as, oh, well, you know, it would serve more utility if he were to just, you know, not invite him to Creator Clash 3 instead of kicking him out, because that way more money would go to charity. And ultimately, I don't think that anyone gained anything from Froggy Fresh getting kicked from the event, okay? It made iDubbbz, and probably more importantly to him, his wife, receive far more harassment than if they just didn't say anything or do anything and just didn't invite him back to Creator Clash 3, right? Because at the end of the day, he didn't really do anything worth getting kicked for, right? I don't think you caught onto the part where iDubbbz said that other people on the card / working in the event were also uncomfortable with Froggy's comments. Yes, because whether or not he thinks people will be uncomfortable, you know, oh yeah, them being mildly uncomfortable is worth, you know, not allowing thousands of dollars to go to charity, right? Like, I don't know. It just seems kind of goofy, right? Now, I'm not going to say that iDubbbz is a bad person. Also, nobody is stopping those people who said they would donate from just sending the money anyways. I agree. I didn't say that those were good people. I think that they're shitty. I would say that they're a lot shittier than iDubbbz, because they're not actually being charitable. They're using charity as a weapon against Ian, right? To make Ian look bad. But I think that that makes them look bad far more than it makes Ian look bad. However, that being said, even without that money, there were people that, well, ended up refunding their tickets and whatnot, and didn't go to that ended up not going to the event simply because Froggy wasn't there, right? So that means that that's money that can no longer go to charity, right? And ultimately, regardless of what their intent is, from iDubbbz's perspective, it would serve more utility if he were to just accept the money from those people, regardless of whether or not they are good or bad people, right? And be like, okay, well, that's money that goes to charity, right? That it's worth a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of tension. It's fine. I don't care that much about discomfort relative to over 100K going to charity towards people that actually need it, right? At the end of the day, I understand why he didn't do that, obviously, but I do think that he was making irrational and emotional decisions, right? But at the end of the day, I think that the reason he did it, right, wasn't just because of Sam Hyde, right? Or because he was afraid of it making people uncomfortable, or because he was, concerned with whatever, right? At the end of the day, one of the main reasons why he kicked Froggy was for Sam Hyde. However, it wasn't just about Sam Hyde. He clumsily explained how, okay, you see, it was fine when Harley from Epic Mealtime was associating with Sam Hyde and making content because, basically, Sam Hyde wasn't harassing my wife back then. So he admits that, it's not about whether or not it makes the event look bad. It's about whether or not Sam Hyde is harassing his wife. Now, I'm not saying that Sam Hyde is right in doing so, but it's not like Sam Hyde being a Nazi is new information. Okay, it's been known that he's a Nazi for ages. It's not a new thing, okay? There was evidence many years ago, far before the first creator clash, that Sam Hyde had donated $5,000 to the Daily Stormer, aka a literal neo-Nazi organization. Okay, so again, he's applying an inconsistent standard there. I personally think Froggy posed a bigger liability. He was associating with Sam. Yeah, so was Harley from Epic Mealtime, who, it's not like Sam wasn't a liability back then. I don't think they lost any sponsors back then. Again, it's not like Sam Hyde being a Nazi is this new phenomenon. He's been a Nazi for years. He's no more controversial now than he was back then. He was making edgy comments. Who's to say he wasn't going to release the flood of hateful comments at the event and risk losing sponsors for Creator Clash 3? Who, Froggy? You think Froggy was going to say those things at the event? I highly doubt it. I don't think that Froggy would do that. Do I think that Froggy is a good person, or that he's not an asshole? No, I don't think he's a good person, but I don't think he was going to, say anything like that, right, at the event itself, right? What is he going to do? Now, if Sam Hyde were to be at the event, okay, I can understand that. I can understand, not letting him bring Sam Hyde to the event and then, I don't know, have Sam Hyde give him a fucking piggyback ride or some shit into the boxing ring. I can see why he wouldn't allow that, right? Because then that's a direct endorsement of Sam Hyde. He's clearly not endorsing Sam Hyde, considering the fact that he banned him from the previous event and the current event. As soon as he got kicked off the card, he said verbatim everything Sam was saying, which would make you lose sponsors. Yeah, no, that was after he was already kicked. So, based on the information that Ian had at the time, while he was kicking him, did not consist of Froggy making those comments, okay? He made those comments after he was already kicked, okay? But Ian didn't have those comments to go off of. Now, I know why you would think that that was the case, because I do think that, I don't know if it's intentionally or not, but Ian did dishonestly frame his video, right? He was showing clips of how Froggy reacted to getting kicked off the card, as if that is somehow a justification for Ian kicking him off the card, okay? But at the end of the day, even if Froggy were to go on and bomb an orphanage, that wouldn't mean that Ian was any more justified in his reasoning, even if he just so happens to accidentally be right, you know? I think that he was already making yikesy comments prior to being kicked, like what, the OnlyFans thing? Like, what? He said it was for, you know, he said it was for associating with Sam Hyde. I don't think that you know, aside from the Sam Hyde thing, I don't think Froggy was any less yikesy as an individual, or any less of a fucking weirdo, or, you know, any more progressive than when he had, you know, than between when he got invited and kicked, right? You know, I don't think that he, you know, drastically changed or moved really far right, you know, out of nowhere or anything like that, right? That and making condescending comments about Anisa's mom, yeah, and I thought that had something to do with it, until Ian himself said that it has nothing to do with the OnlyFans thing, okay? He said that. He said it has nothing to do with the OnlyFans thing. So either he is lying about that, and that was one of the reasons, or he's not lying about that, and it's not one of the reasons. But either way, no matter what, it looks bad. Now, I don't think that he's a bad person or that he's normally dishonest, but I think that he is so emotionally attached to this situation that he's going to make irrational decisions, right? And again, this is something that I have criticized him for. However, I do think that while his addressing the Froggy Fresh drama video was fucking awful, right? I do think that his most recent video, where it was I missed the old iDubbbz video, right? I'll let you finish your segment, though. Agree to disagree? Well, no. If you have a counter argument, I want to hear what it is, right? I'm not in a rush to finish the segment. But I do think that, okay, yeah, Ian's most recent video was generally good. I think that he was too harsh on himself in general. I don't think that he should have, you know, apologized for, you know, all of the content cop, because at the end of the day, you know, he's overcorrecting, right? When really he just needed to, whatever, apologize for and enlist the Tana video, right? But like, for instance, Leafy, Rice Gum, Keemstar, etc., they didn't deserve an apology, okay? Every single piece of criticism and honestly every insult that was directed towards them was warranted. There was a justifiable reason for it, right? He just went too far with the Tana video, and only the Tana video. But that was it. That was it. And you know, maybe the Fine Bros video, on the sole basis of it being redundant, because, you know, he was just kind of not really adding anything to the discussion. Everyone had already shit on the Fine Bros, right? But at the end of the day, that's all I can really think of, right? And, you know, it's not like, and not every content comp was even that harsh. Like, again, the amateur food reviewers, the toy review channels, the Spider-Man Elsa shit, right? Well, I guess he was kind of harsh on the Spider-Man Elsa shit, but still, it's like he wasn't targeting anybody specific there either. And it's like, I don't think they care if iDubbbz apologizes to them. I don't think that their feelings were hurt. They're basically just hollow corporations, right? It's like, okay. Or the tech review channels, they don't give a shit, obviously. Or, whatever. He wasn't that harsh on how to prank it up. You know, he wasn't, like, harassing him, right? I don't think that Ian's fans even, you know, other than, you know, maybe, like, going to his channel and maybe commenting, like, oh, here's a funny meme from iDubbbz's channel that only other iDubbbz fans will understand. But I don't think that anyone harassed him, for instance. Jinx was stealing content, right? what do you think his biggest regret is? Attacking / commenting on people who were the subject of a video, or the impression he was giving his audience? I think it's the impression he was giving his audience. I think it's because his content, and maybe that's less of regret. I think, well, in terms of regret, in terms of a single action that he regrets the most, it's definitely going to TanaCon and doing all that shit, right? That's what he regrets the most, in terms of any single action of his. But broadly, I think that people misinterpreting his messages is what has affected him the most overall, right? I think that, you know, I'm not, like, the majority of people aren't like me, who are able to understand the arguments he was actually making, right? Most people, either deliberately or not, have misinterpreted the shit he said. Like, very blatantly misinterpreting it. Because Ian has interacted with his fans a lot, and if he is getting the impression that a lot of his fans got the wrong idea, then I trust that assessment. Yeah, true. Yeah, me too. I don't disagree with him there. I actually agree with him wholeheartedly. I think that at the end of the day, you know, all he had to do was be more overt about his intentions, and I think it would have been really, really, really fucking good if, instead of pivoting into, you know, making Thanos fidget toy videos, right? Which he's well within his rights to do, by the way. I'm not trying to shit on him for that, though I might make jokes about it every once in a while. I think he could have done a lot of good if you were to, I don't know, let's say make a content comp on somebody like Matt Walsh. Do you know how fucking good that would be? Do you know how much good that would do to the left? That would benefit us so much. Imagine if he had made a content comp on Matt Walsh, you know, with his same edgy style of rhetoric, but he's directing it at a very specific cause/purpose. And think about how useful that would have been. The problem was never his edgy style of rhetoric. It's the fact that he wasn't aiming it anywhere, other than maybe comedy, right? But it was sort of just like radiating wherever the fuck, right? But if he had, you know, directed it specifically towards right-wing ideology, to shit on that, or towards someone like Matt Walsh, that could have been really, really fucking good for the left. And I know for a fact, maybe not for a fact, but I'm fairly certain that Ian is pretty much a leftist at this point. He may not outright say it, but it's pretty obvious, right? Because first of all, no right-winger makes content where, you know, you expect the audience to understand subtlety, right? Conservatives don't even know what the fuck that is. Conservatives hate the idea of reading between the lines. But Ian loves the idea of that, obviously. He made fucking, you know, a ton of content where that was kind of the point, right? You had to read between a few lines. Even though it was obvious where you should read between the lines, you know, again, literary analysis is an inherently left-wing thing, alright? Right-wingers fucking hate things like literary analysis, right? Because it requires too much nuance for their little pea brains, right? But it doesn't require too much nuance for iDubbbz, right? Some part of me thinks Ian doesn't think he can handle the pressure and the spotlight. Yeah, that too. I don't think him getting involved in politics would be ideal. He should chill and do what he wants. Yeah, I think at this point, because of how much pressure has been put on him, I don't disagree. But I do think that if he were to, why hello, Hawthorne. Why greetings, Sir Femios. I assume that iDubbbz situation is still, continuing? Yeah. It's still in its continuation, I guess you could say. Yes, indeed. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, he wouldn't even have to frame it as politics. He could just be shitting on Matt Walsh, you know, and framing it the same way he would frame any other content cop. Oh, here is a piece of shit that says really dumb things, so I'm gonna make a video on them, where I criticize them for being fucking stupid and hypocritical. That's all he has to do in something, in a situation like that, right? And, you know, in a situation like that, it's like, okay, I think that his audience would still be able to get behind that, right? Because most of them are just edgy teenagers. They don't give a fuck about anything, right? But it's like, okay, if it becomes cringe to support Matt Walsh, and it becomes cool to hate Matt Walsh, it's like, well, you know, people are going to be more likely to support his detractors. And who are Matt Walsh's biggest detractors? It's left-wingers, like me, like Vosh, etc., right? So, ultimately, even if it's not direct or super overt in terms of, you know, him saying, hey, everybody, I am a staunch leftist, everybody. I think that socialism is the way to go, or some shit like that. I believe that we should all read the Communist Manifesto together, or some stupid shit like, well, maybe he would say that as a joke. But he doesn't have to do that, right? He doesn't have to say it's politics, right? Left wing, is that communism, or am I wrong? I mean, it can be, but no. I was making a joke. It's not actually. It doesn't even have to be socialism, necessarily. You can just be into social politics. I don't, you know, personally, I don't see Ian as the type of person to care about economic politics. Maybe he does behind the scenes, but I do think that he cares about social politics. I think it's reflected in his newer content. But I think that if he had directed his disaffected, edgy sort of energy as with criticism towards someone like Matt Walsh, you know, I think that even though it's a lot of pressure, right, I think that it would have made him feel more fulfilled, right? I think that it could have been worth the pressure, right? Now, I don't think that he, you know, needs to do that, or that it's an obligation. It's not obligatory, right? But I do think that, okay, if you think that your content of the past is harmful, right, and you want to make up for it, you want to do good instead of bad, then I think that that would be the best and most fitting and fulfilling way to do that, right? And in a very poetic way as well. Using the thing that you used to accidentally use for bad for something really good, I think could have been, you know, life-changing for him. I think it could have, you know, bolstered his career even, right? I'm not saying he would need to become a leftist streamer or anything, though I will say I would, you know, enjoy it if he just so happened to stream. I would watch that. I would want to see, you know, him streaming. And I don't mean him being on, like, the H3 podcast while it's live. That doesn't fucking count, okay? No, none of that shit, okay? No, I mean like an actual stream where he's interacting with the audience, right? The same way that I interact with my audience. You know, maybe there's some segment-oriented shit, but still, you know, I think that that could have also been useful in explaining what his intentions are. He doesn't even have to frame it as politics. He can just frame it as his opinion, but just be transparent about his opinion. And one of the main criticisms I've, you know, levied at his older content, as of late, you know, and a suggestion I've given to fix it would be, well, he only has half the equation in Content Cop, right? I've said it a million times. He only has half the equation, which is deconstructing the other person's moral framework / worldview, right? And explaining why it's contradictory and doesn't make any fucking sense. But he never went out of his way, for the most part, to replace it with anything. And I think that that was what was missing. That was the side of the equation that he didn't really include, when I feel like he should have. He should have established what his more logical framework is, rather than just stopping at, oh, well, you're a fucking hypocrite because of reason X, reason Y, and reason Z. It's like, yeah, that's great and all. You've done half of your job, but now you gotta replace it with something in order for, you know, people to actually change the way they think, right? It's like, oh, well, if it's not replaced with anything, they might forget about it, they might go back to, you know, their old ways if they used to support Leafy. I mean, come on. Let's be real, there are probably a lot of people that were shitting on Leafy for the whole no chin thing, right? Back in the day, that are sucking Leafy off right now, right? Is that just me? Do you not think that there's overlap there? Because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of who is right or who is wrong, right? Not to those people. It's just an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic choice, right? But it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. I do not know what Sir Femios is talking about, but since he is using complicated words, I believe him. I don't think it's that complicated. I mean, maybe a little bit. I'm going to be ending stream soon, because at the end of the day, I don't know if there's much more that I can say that hasn't already been said that won't be in a future video, by the way. Not in tomorrow's video, but in a future video. I've said, I think I was a little bit too harsh on Ian in that, especially given, where he's at now. But that being said, I do, however, think that, I think, I don't know. I think that ultimately, if I just explain what my thought process is and do something a little bit different, I think I can fix that video, right? Update it. Hopefully it's finished by next week, but don't count on it. Oh, ending soon? Yeah, probably. I'll just end whenever I feel like it, right? I don't want to oblige myself to, stream for much longer, right? It's getting late, I don't want to end stream, but at the same time, I do want to have some semblance of a sleep schedule. Oh, before I end stream, y'all should probably see my outfit, right? I didn't show it off at any point. I forgot to do that, in fact. So here is my, yes, here is my outfit, right? Right? Yeah. Y'all can see. Oh, God. I'm blurring that out of the VOD! I'm blurring that out of the VOD! No one gets to see that. No one gets to see that but you guys, okay? Yeah. Onlyfans.com/Femios. Onlyfans.com/Femios. That may or may not have been intentional. You never know. But Onlyfans.com/Femios if you want to see that. If you're watching the VOD. Onlyfans.com/Femios. I'm just saying. Coming soon. Yeah. That's my advertisement for it. I know it was a last second thing. But, I'm just saying. But, anyways, Hey, Mutated Cutie! Thank you for the $3, you absolute legend. Don't think we forgot when you accidentally bump into your mic. We saw it. Will you be making a 4th stream about iDubbbz? I feel like you weren't clear enough about how you felt during the last streams. Something tells me the, you're being a little bit sarcastic here. A little bit of tomfoolery is going on. No, don't do an OnlyFans, Femios. I do not want you to go down such a route. Or such a road. I disagree. I mean, you already saw that I'm shameless as hell. You already saw how shameless I am. Unless the stream is delayed. Oh wait, no, because I mentioned the OnlyFans thing after. I'm so stupid. Yes, and yes, I might make a 4th stream about iDubbbz. I don't know. I think that in order, now, before I go, I want to establish a few reasons as to why I think Ian, overall, is a good person. Despite the criticisms I've, given. Shameless, why would you think so? You can rewind the VOD. You can rewind the VOD. Maybe there's a little bit of shame. Or maybe there isn't. You never know. Either way, I think that Ian, at the end of the day, I think he's just in, this weird emotional state. I think that he has good intent at the end of the day, and I don't think he would be making, such a genuine concerted effort to change in such a way if he wasn't a good person at heart. I think that he genuinely does have a lot of empathy, for instance. I believe that he genuinely does feel bad about the content he made in the past. In fact, I mean, why else would he be overcorrecting for it, right? I believe that, I think you are a good person, so there is no shame with you. Aw, well, thank you. Yeah, but it's still like, ooh, I don't know, that's kind of slutty. Maybe I don't blur it out of the VOD. I don't know. I might not. If I'm lazy, I might not. But also, I might. You never know. I'm just saying. Either way, I hope you all wait, no, I was gonna give reasons as... Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, I think that overall, Ian changing is probably for the better, because usually you don't want to stay exactly the same throughout your entire life. That's not usually something you want to do, right? usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, OnlyFans is the way. True. I mean, I was focusing on the keyboard, so I didn't see anything. Well, you can rewind if you know, if you really want to. If you want to see something. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not going to discourage it either. I am neutral. So, if you really do care to see it, I mean, I suppose, you know, you might want to rewind it before I blur it out of the VOD. Right? Anyways, as I was saying, oh my god, I'm so distracted. Should I just end stream? Maybe I should. I don't even know. But yes, I agree. OnlyFans is the way. It truly is. No, Sir Femios, I am not a pervert. I think Mutated Cutie might subscribe to my OnlyFans. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. You never know. I think a lot of people might. You know, Anisa is doing an OnlyFans is something that iDubbbz's former fan base really likes. You know, they're a big fan of that specifically, as we all know. They love when people do OnlyFans. I will, not even joking. Hell yeah. It'll probably just be lewd stuff, nothing nude, but actually, yeah, but I think is a good way to put it, if you really think about it. I wasn't even doing that intentionally. Yeah, alright. Well, I had a great share of entertainment from you, Sir Femios. Godspeed to you, and as always, may your community rise as the triumphant Adao. Why, thank you, Hawthorne. I appreciate that a lot, quite a bit. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. I think that iDubbbz is in a really sad situation, though. It's like, you know, again, I feel like me, and probably you guys, you know, who agree with me, or let's be real, who wouldn't agree with me, right? It's like, once you hear my arguments, it's like, oh, well, you know I'm right, obviously, as we all know. You know, it's like, I feel like we're probably in the minority when it comes to people who do understand his old content. Most people didn't, and I think he feels really bad about that. And the fact that he, you know, is thinking about the consequences of his actions leads me to believe that he, at the very least, if nothing else, intends to be a good person. And to me, that's what I define a good person as, is someone who genuinely intends to and makes a concerted effort to be a good person, right? So obviously it's I mean, sure, you know, I might it's not just a matter of, okay, well, what are the outcomes, though? I mean, that is important, but mostly just in politics, you know, that's when I care the most about outcomes. But interpersonally and socially, I wouldn't consider myself a consequentialist, only politically, right? Or when I'm speaking really broadly about something. But interpersonally and socially, and in terms of my most deep root, you know, philosophy, like the foundation of it all, I would say is more aligned with existentialism, you know? I believe that, you know, for instance, life only has the meaning that we prescribe to it, right? Meaning it doesn't actually have any objective meaning. I also don't believe in objective morality. I believe that it's subjective, but the reason that we believe in it is because it's mutually beneficial for us to all presuppose certain things, right? It's even mutually beneficial for us to all presuppose that, well, we're, you know, for instance, from my perspective, to presuppose that I am not the only conscious being, and that other people are also conscious, and that they're not, you know, figments of my imagination, even though it is entirely possible from my perspective, right? But it's mutually beneficial that we don't all do that, even though it's like, well, we might be jumping to a conclusion here, and maybe it's the correct one, maybe it's not, we don't know. But again, that's why we make presuppositions, is it's mutually beneficial for us to act as if it is a definitive truth, even if it's not. That doesn't mean that it is objectively the morally superior thing, though when you apply the law of non-contradiction, there is some level of objectivity to ideas that relate to morality, because it's like, well, it's not about whether morality is or is not objective. It's about, do certain ideas and positions align with those presuppositions, with that morality, right? And that's why I might find it more difficult, for instance, to argue with, an insane Christian presuppositionalist who denies evolution and thinks that the Earth is flat. It's like, well, we have, like, almost no fucking common ground, right? It's like, where do you even start? It's like, everything they believe is probably wrong. So, like, like, when their main presuppositions are completely fucked, it's like, where do you even start? And it's like, you have to argue against the presuppositions themselves, and it's really annoying. Though I've gotten better at it over time, right? At the end of the day, I think that intent does matter, at least when judging people's moral character, right? We're judging a character, not how much utility do they serve, though utility is important. It's not the end-all, be-all, right? It's not just about the consequences of their actions, right? Because as a rule, right, if you want to take the utilitarian approach, let's say, as a rule, people that have good intentions are generally a lot more likely to do good things, for instance. And that's part of how you judge people's intent, right, from an outside perspective, is based on their actions and words and whatnot, even the way they present themselves. That's one way in which you can judge somebody's intentions, right? Because obviously you can never read somebody's mind, right? But somebody with good intentions generally does things that are good, more often than not, as opposed to somebody with bad intentions, who are more likely to do bad things. And then there are people who might be neutral, who don't intend to harm or help the world. Maybe they're indifferent, for instance. Then, well, it'll be a mixed bag, right? It depends on the individual person, right? And I would say that, at the end of the day, I think that ultimately, I don't know. I just want to. I want to see where iDubbbz goes from here, right? He's in a very weird position, and I don't know how it will go for him. I don't know what content he'll make in the future. I don't know what his style of humor will be. Hey, thank you for the additional $3, mutated cutie. Good night if this is the end. Prepare for all the hot takes during Pride Month, Lamau. Aw, hell yeah. You better believe that during Pride Month, I am going to be going all out in debate bro mode, okay? That's why I haven't been doing very much debate lately. I did a debate that I'm gonna upload tomorrow. It was in a stream. I don't know how many people saw it in the stream. But it was a trans debate. It's gonna be like an hour and a half. That you'll see the video at some point tomorrow. Probably. I think. Yeah. It should ultimately be there. I'm sorry. This is a... I'm at a point where, I don't feel the need to pump out nearly as much content, but I still do need to pump out quite a bit, right? It's like, okay, now my channel has a backlog of past live streams. That's really good. And even a little bit of a backlog of videos. Not that large of one, and definitely not that large of one for shorts, but overall, there's quite a bit of content on this channel now, right? And that, I think is preferable, right? But I'm getting to a point where it's like, okay, people can binge watch my content endlessly, it seems, right? Well, not endlessly. I mean, I have watched all of my own content, at least once, if not multiple times, including past streams. Yes, indeed. But, that being said, it's like, okay, should I slow down on the content and focus more on quality? I don't know. I've been focusing a lot on, responding to Femboy Haters 69. Hell yeah. No, but what I'd say that, well, I've been focusing on both quality and quantity. Quality in terms of, you know, okay, how good is my rhetoric? How good are my debate strats? How entertaining can I be in a live show format like this, right? What is the limit to that? And I haven't reached a limit yet. I've consistently improved over time, slowly but surely. I mean, you can compare even this stream, which isn't my best stream by any means. I would say that my previous stream was my best one so far. There wasn't as nearly as much energy in this one, though I did obviously make it interesting with the things I've said. However, my previous live stream, for instance, was really fun, right? If you compare that one, my best live stream so far, to some of my first live streams, you'll notice a little bit of a difference, you know? I'm more well-spoken now. I'm, you know, more, I don't want to say I'm more confident. I was never not confident, but I'm better at, you know, saying things that are interesting and funny or entertaining or whatever. I'm better at making arguments. I have better analysis. You'll notice all of these things, right? A lot of what I said before, you know, was more often, not more often than not, but a lot of times I might have said things that are redundant. It's like, okay, you're just repeating fucking other people's talking points, right? You're just saying words that are talking points that you either saw in a Hunter Avalone or Vosh video, right? But it was a good start, right? But I've sort of molded it into my own thing, right? That's sort of where I'm going with this. I'm sort of bringing it in my own direction. I did Pride Month. Yeah, I did Pride Month will be entertaining. It brings out a lot of stupid people, so you can do a lot with that. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's like they'll do the thing where they think that they're being smart. It's like, oh, it's Pride Month, which means I'm gonna hate gay people even more. Haha. It's like, yeah, that's really original and creative. I haven't seen that a million times. You know, oh, wow, you're so contrarian. How did you come up with such a creative idea? And also, you're such a contrarian. Right. I deleted it because grammar. Oh, RIP. Anyways, I don't even know what you deleted. Either way. Or maybe I don't see that it gets deleted. I don't know. I mean, on my screen, it's not deleted. Maybe that's a Streamlabs thing. Maybe it saves your messages forever, and they never go away. You will never, ever be able to retract anything you've ever said. No, not at all. Not at all. I don't know why I'm talking like that. Oh, well. I mean, if I go to the YouTube studio, it actually also shows up there. Well, okay. Alright. Okay. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this epic live stream, even though it was a little bit of a shorter one, a little bit more chill, I guess. You know, it's not one of the big 7-hour ones, you know, it's not of the 7-hour variant, I guess you could say. However, it was still fun, and I still enjoyed it, and I wanted to stream, because I have promised my viewers that I stream every Sunday and upload, but last week and this week, I know I didn't upload. I'm sorry. I'm gonna upload tomorrow for today. I'm not gonna make up for last week, because that's too much stress. I'm sorry. Oh well. Not much I can do. Anyways, goodbye, everyone. Is there anything else I want to say? I don't even know. It's hard to say. Right? I don't know. What else do I want to say? Stream is... Oh, wait. Stream is ending, so nobody will see this. Wait. Hold on. I need to make sure that everyone sees this. As you can see, Mutated Cutie likes feet. Everyone can see it. Yeah. I extended... Yeah. Oh, you thought I was gonna end stream just because I said I was gonna end stream? You shouldn't believe everything that people tell you on the internet, okay? Just because someone says something on the internet doesn't mean it's true. Yeah. Yeah, you just got owned. I just owned you. How does it feel? How does it feel to get owned? Anyways. Yeah, I'm not surprised that this stream only got 36 views, though, because it was lagging so much in the beginning, which means that the audience retention is lower, which means that it gets recommended to less people, etc. Right, there was more, yeah, the stream, I could have made a new stream once it stopped lagging, but I was like, you know what, no, I'm doing it for the VOD, if nothing else. Anyways, that'll do it for today. I'm actually ending stream for real, okay? Like actually for real, believe it or not, yeah, you heard me. Anyways, yeah, this is the part where I end stream.